What if I told you that a 21-year-old woman from the Philippines is about to walk onto the most famous tennis courts in the world and do something no one from her country has done in over 100 years? That is exactly what Alexandra Eala is doing at Wimbledon 2026. She is the 29th seed, and she is the first Filipino player ever to hold that spot at this tournament. Not the first this year or the first in recent memory, but the first in the entire history of Wimbledon, which goes back more than a century. No player from the Philippines had ever walked into that draw as a seeded player before her. When Manny Pacquiao, who is without question the greatest Filipino athlete of all time, heard about this achievement, he went on national television and told his country that he was proud of her. She is only 21 years old, and she learned tennis from her grandfather, who is no longer alive to see any of this success. He passed away in 2019, and he never got to see Miami or Berlin or this Wimbledon seed, but she carries his lessons with her every single day. To really appreciate what she has done, you have to understand the tennis landscape in the Philippines. In basketball, the country has a deep culture with heroes everywhere you look. In boxing, there is Pacquiao, a living legend who inspired millions. But in professional women's tennis, there was absolutely nobody. No Filipino woman had ever broken into the WTA Top 100 rankings. No one had ever made it to the main draw of a Grand Slam as a seeded player. There was no path to follow, no blueprint to copy, and no older player you could call for advice. If a young Filipino girl dreamed of becoming a professional tennis player, she had no one to ask about the tough moments or the big matches. There was simply nothing there. That is the empty space that Alexandra Eala stepped into when she first picked up a racket at 4 years old in Quezon City. She was not walking in anyone's footsteps because there were no footsteps to follow. She was making her own trail from scratch. Her name is Alexandra Eala, and right now most people outside the Philippines still do not recognize that name. But that is going to change very soon. She grew up at a country club in Pasig, but this is not a story about a rich kid who had everything handed to her. Her very first coach was not a famous professional. He was her grandfather, whose name was Roberto Mano, and everyone called him Lolo Bob. He was just a club player and an amateur who loved tennis deeply and loved his grandchildren even more. Every single day, without fail, he showed up with a basket full of tennis balls, and he fed those balls to young Alex and her brother Emo on the court in Pasig. There were no days off and no excuses accepted. He just kept showing up day after day because he believed in something he could not yet prove to anyone. He believed that this little girl could do something extraordinary, and that faith shaped everything about who she became. When she was 12 years old, she won a prestigious junior tournament in France called Les Petits. Someone from the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca, Spain was watching, and they offered her a full scholarship to train at one of the most elite tennis academies on the planet. She was only 13 years old when she packed her bag and left her family and her home country to move to Spain all by herself. Just think about that for a moment. She was 13 years old in a new country with a new language and a new culture, and she had no Filipino player before her to show the way. There was no one she could call who understood exactly what she was walking into. She left that familiar court in Pasig, and she left her grandfather with his basket of balls, and she flew across the world to discover what she was truly made of. Lolo Bob passed away in 2019, and he never saw any of the incredible things that were about to happen. But she never forgot a single thing he taught her. By 2025, the tennis world started to take serious notice of Alexandra Eala. She was steadily climbing the rankings and winning matches at smaller tournaments. Then came the Miami Open, which changed everything. She entered as a wild card, which means she did not qualify through the normal ranking system. Her ranking at that time was around 140th in the world. In her first big test, she beat Madison Keys, who was ranked number 5. Then she walked onto the court against Iga Swiatek, the world number 2 and a multiple Grand Slam champion. Alexandra Eala, a 19-year-old wild card from the Philippines ranked 140th in the world, beat her too. In the Philippines, that victory felt like a national celebration. Social media exploded and every sports channel talked about her nonstop. She was no longer just a tennis player. She had become a symbol of hope and proof that Filipinos could compete at the absolute highest level of global sport. Then came the Italian Open in Rome just weeks after Miami. Now the whole world was watching to see if Miami was real or just a lucky run. She faced Marta Kostyuk, who beat her badly 6-0 and 6-1. She lost the first 10 games in a row, and the doubts that had been waiting suddenly became very loud. People started asking whether Miami was just a fluke. But here is what Alexandra Eala did after that loss. She did not hold a dramatic press conference. She did not have an emotional breakdown. She did not announce she was changing her game or firing her coach. She went back to work quietly and methodically, just the way Lolo Bob had taught her. She kept her feet on the ground, stayed coachable, and kept putting in the hard work without complaining. That is the kind of character that separates good players from great ones. When the grass season of 2026 arrived, her hard work paid off. She went to Birmingham, England, and won the tournament, her second professional title. Then she went to Berlin as a wild card again. The draw included Elena Rybakina, the world number 2, and Aryna Sabalenka, world number 8. Both are Grand Slam champions and two of the most dangerous players on any surface. Alexandra Eala beat Rybakina, and then she walked back onto that court and beat Sabalenka as well back-to-back. Greg Rosetsky, a former top 5 player, said that beating those two back-to-back is so impressive. He said it was just a matter of time before she had her big breakthrough. He mentioned that the grass courts help her because she is left-handed and the ball slides away with her slice serve. And then he said he could not wait to see what it will be like in her opening match at Wimbledon this year. But here is the part that many people are not saying out loud. Wimbledon is not Birmingham, and it is not Berlin. Wimbledon is the biggest tennis tournament on the planet. The draw is stacked with champions. Sabalenka is number 1 and Rybakina is number 2. Swiatek is defending the title, and Goff and Andreeva, who just won the French Open, are also in the mix. Alexandra Eala is seeded 29th, but if she gets through her first 3 matches, she will face a top 8 player. She lost in the first round last year, and she has never gone deep at a major. Her grass court form is real and the seed is historic, but the competition is also very real. So the honest question is whether she has a genuine shot at the Wimbledon quarterfinals. Let us go back to that number 29 seed at Wimbledon 2026. It is the first time in history for a Filipino player. Not the first this year, but the first ever in over 100 years. No Filipino player had ever walked into that draw as a seeded player before Alexandra Eala. She is also the first player from Southeast Asia to be seeded at a Grand Slam since Thailand's Tamarine Tanasugarn in 2009. That is 17 years with nobody from this entire region earning a Wimbledon seed. And now this young woman from Pasig City, who was first coached by a grandfather with a basket of balls, and who flew to Spain at 13 with no blueprint, and who got blown off the court in Rome, and then came back to beat 2 Grand Slam champions on grass, is that person. Manny Pacquiao watched her on national television and said he was proud of her. Greg Rosetsky called her the Manny Pacquiao of the Philippines. Think about what that means. That is not just a tennis compliment. That is someone saying this player is a national identity. She is what a country points to and says, look what one of us can do. After Alexandra beat Rybakina and Sabalenka in Berlin, someone asked her about Wimbledon and what it meant to be seated there. She said it really touches close to home. Not close to her career goals, but close to home, because home is that court in Pasig and a grandfather who showed up every day with a basket of balls. Home is Lolo Bob, who was not a professional coach, but who knew how to show up and put in the work and love someone so hard that they carry it with them forever. He died in 2019 and never saw any of this. But she said that so much of her foundation, her mentality, and her bravery comes from the tough love and sacrifice he gave her. She walks onto Wimbledon on June 29th as the 29th seed, and her grandfather will not be in the stands. But if you watch how she plays and how she does not panic when it gets hard, and how she goes back to work after a loss, you will see him in every shot. That is who Alexandra Eala is. That is why 115 million people are watching, and that is why Manny Pacquiao said he was proud. Wimbledon starts June 29th, and she is the 29th seed. The draw comes out this weekend. How far does she go? first round quarterfinal further. Drop your prediction now because this story is not over, and when she makes her next move you will want to say you saw it coming.